Today we'll be doing lesson 7.5 on page 350, solving inequalities by multiplying or dividing. Let's start by solving this inequality. We use the same rules that we used when we solved an equation to solve an inequality. 8x is less than or equal to 40. We want to get x by itself. To do that, since x is being multiplied by 8, we divide both sides by 8. We're left with x on the left side, and 40 divided by 8 is 5. So x is less than or equal to 5. We can graph it on a number line by filling in a dark circle on the 5 since it could be equal to it, and drawing an arrow to the left for everything less than 5. Now let's try an inequality when our variable is being divided by a number. Here we have d divided by 2 is greater than 7. We want to solve for d, so we want to get d by itself. Since it's being divided by 2, we're going to multiply the left side by 2. Whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other. The 2's on the left side cross each other out. We're left with a d is greater than 7 times 2, which is 14. Again, we can graph it on a number line. This time, we would use an open circle and an arrow to the right. Try this problem on your own. Push pause to work it, and then push play to check your answer. Okay, let's solve the inequality 9x is less than or equal to 54. If we want to get x by itself, since it's being multiplied by 9, we need to divide both sides by 9. We're left with x is less than or equal to 6. We graph it on a number line, and since it could be equal to 6, we fill the circle in, and we draw an arrow to the left. Now try this problem on your own. Push pause to work the problem, and then play to check your answer. Okay, we want to get d by itself. Since it's being divided by 9, we're going to multiply it by 9 to get rid of the 9. Whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other, so we take the 4 times 9. We're left with d is greater than 36. Again, we draw a number line. We use an open circle, and we draw an arrow to the right to show that it's greater than. Here's a rule that you need to know. When we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, we switch the inequality. Let's work a few problems like this together, and then you can try a couple on your own. Okay, let's solve this inequality for x. Since x is being divided by a negative 3, to get x by itself, we must multiply by a negative 3. That crosses each other out. Whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other. Remember our rule, though. Whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides, we have to switch our inequality. 4 times 3 is 12, and since our signs are different, our answer is a negative. And then we should graph our inequality. Let's try solving another inequality. This time we have a negative 7x is greater than a negative 56. To get x by itself, since it's being multiplied by a negative 7, we have to divide by a negative 7. Whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other. Now remember, whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides, we have to switch our inequality. 56 divided by 7 is 8. Since the signs are the same, it's positive. So x is less than 8. We can graph that on a number line with an open circle and an arrow to the left. Now try solving this inequality on your own. Remember our rule. Press pause to work the problem, and press play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, let's work this problem together. We want to get x by itself. Since it's being divided by a -5, we have to multiply the left side by a -5 so they can cross each other out. Whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other. We're left with an x, but since we multiplied by a negative number, we have to switch our inequality. 7 times 5 is 35, and since our signs are different, it's a negative. We can graph this inequality that x is less than or equal to 35 by filling in a circle at 35 and drawing an arrow to the left. Try one more inequality by yourself. Solve the inequality and graph it. Push pause to work the problem and then push play to check your answer. Okay, let's check your work. In this problem, -7x is greater than a -56. We're working to get x by itself. Since it's being multiplied by a -7, we need to divide it by a -7. Whatever we do on one side, we know we must do on the other. Since we divided by a negative number, we must switch our inequality. 56 divided by 7 we know is 8. Since our signs are the same and both negative, our answer is a positive. We can graph this inequality of x is less than 8 by putting an open circle above the 8 and an arrow to the left. Remember our new rule. Whenever we multiply both or divide both sides by a negative number, we switch the inequality. That's all for lesson 7.5. So for today, you'll do questions 2 through 8 all, 10 through 26 even, 33 through 45 all, 48 through 54 even. If you need any help, make sure you ask and make sure you show your work.